The Bronze Age didn't just end, it collapsed. Everywhere, across 3 continents, cities burned. Empires that had stood for centuries vanished in a single generation. Trade routes dried up. The art of writing was lost. Kings and pharaohs became nothing more than stories. The entire world, as people knew it, simply stopped working. This wasn't because of one enemy or one single disaster. It was because everything failed at once. And somewhere inside that monumental collapse, there was a single moment when the system finally broke a point of no return. After that, nothing could be fixed. Before the fall, the ancient world was surprisingly connected. Bronze powered everything: weapons, tools, armor, even farming implements. But to make bronze, you need 2 things: copper and tin. Copper was plentiful, but tin was incredibly rare. It came from distant mountains, across seas, through fragile and complex trade routes. Entire empires were built on a metal they couldn't produce, relying on shipments they couldn't fully control. Palaces acted like corporate headquarters, coordinating vast supply chains. Ships crisscrossed the Mediterranean, and caravans trekked across deserts. The system worked, but just barely. Until one delay turned into many. Around 1200 BCE, the Eastern Mediterranean was a land of giants. Egypt, the Hittite Empire, Mycenaean Greece, Assyria, Babylon. They were rivals, yes, but they were also partners. They traded lavish gifts, married their children into each other's royal families, and wrote desperate letters begging for grain in times of famine. It was a delicate, interconnected balance. But if one of these pillars fell, all the others would tremble. Then, the first cracks appeared. The warnings were quiet at first. Harvests began to fail. The rains stopped coming. Letters between kings grew more frantic. Our people are starving. Send food immediately. The land is dying. Then earthquakes rocked major cities, toppling walls and destroying ports. With disaster came refugees, entire populations on the move, hungry, armed, and desperate. Borders strained, and the vital trade routes began to break. Tin shipments stopped. Without tin, new bronze weapons couldn't be made. Armies weakened. The world was choking itself. And then came the Sea Peoples. No one knows for sure where they came from. They just appeared, their ships packed with warriors, families, and all their worldly belongings. They weren't just raiding, they were migrating. A human tsunami. They crashed into coastal cities, burning ports and destroying the hubs of global trade. Egyptian records speak of them with pure terror. No land can stand before them. But the Sea Peoples weren't the cause of the collapse. They were a symptom. They were the displaced, driven forward by a world already breaking apart behind them. They were the wave that carried the collapse from shore to shore. The fall was a cascade. The great Mycenaean palaces in Greece burned to the ground. The mighty Hittite capital was sacked and abandoned, never to be rebuilt. An entire empire simply vanished from history. As the trade networks snapped, the dominoes fell faster. Without tin, no bronze. Without bronze weapons, armies dissolved. Without armies, cities were defenseless. Writing itself disappeared. The complex script known as linear vanished. Records stopped. People literally forgot how to read and write. Knowledge died because there was no one left to pass it on. This wasn't a transition. It was a free fall. The centers of power were targeted first. Palaces controlled the food supply, so when they burned, the system of redistribution ended. Farmers starved. Soldiers deserted. Kings lost their authority overnight. When a ruler could no longer feed or protect their people, loyalty evaporated. Egypt survived, but only just. Pharaoh Ramesses III fought the Sea Peoples in a desperate naval battle. The carvings he left behind show absolute chaos. Egypt won, but the victory shattered its economy and broke its power. The age of great empires was over. After the collapse came the silence, a dark age. Cities were abandoned, roads fell into disuse, and the seas were empty. Populations plummeted. People returned to small, isolated villages. Iron, once a novelty, replaced bronze not because it was better, but because its raw materials were available everywhere. The world became smaller, darker, and simpler. For centuries, history itself seemed to vanish. So what caused it? There was no single culprit. It was climate change, drought, earthquakes, mass migrations, invasions, and systemic trade collapse, all happening at once. Any one of these crises was survivable, but together they were fatal. The Bronze Age was too interconnected, too complex, too efficient to fail gracefully. Its greatest strengths became its greatest weaknesses. The system didn't bend, it shattered. The battle that ended the Bronze Age wasn't fought with swords. It was fought with shortages, with panic, and with cascading failure. Civilization didn't fall to a single blow. It fell when everything it relied upon failed at the exact same time. And when the world finally stopped burning, there was almost nothing left that anyone recognized.